Welcome to episode 2 of the Silver Screen Scarehouse with Lisa and Linnie. I'm your host, Linnie, and with me, of course, is my enchanting co-host, Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
So when you come to the Scarehouse, we're reviewing 3 movies. We may not always agree, but as lifelong film fanatics, you'll get 2 honest opinions from 2 different sides of the aisles, followed by an old-fashioned, knives up, knives down final rating. This week, Lisa and I will be chatting about The Guest, The Hunted, and See No Evil 2, all of which are available on Blu-ray and VOD. So first up is Adam Wingard's The Guest. It's when soldier David inserts himself into the Peterson family, claiming to be a friend of their dead son. Seemingly accidental deaths befall anyone who hurts one of the Peterson clan. Just who is David, and why is he so good at killing people? So, Lisa, I know you saw The Guest a long time before I did, so what did you think of it?
Well, I'm in love with it, and I want to marry it. I mean, it's not a secret that I have a weird fangirl thing for Simon Barrett and Adam Wingard. Because when they get together, it's magic.
It is. They're so much better together.
They're so much better together. And I had noticed recently on Twitter that Mr. Barrett said that he would actually put this in the sci-fi category, and I thought that was interesting.
Oh, yeah, I could kind of see that, I guess, if you, without giving anything away. There's a military science experiment aspect to it, so I could kind of see that.
Well, so I rewatched it yesterday with that in mind, and it actually kind of the character of David plays better if you look at it that way.
I was kind of watching it that way to begin with, without even knowing that, just because of his demeanor. He almost seemed alien to me. And of course he's not an alien, because that would have absolutely pissed me off. I hate that being the twist at the end of movies, which is why I didn't really like Honeymoon as much as everyone else. But, oh, sorry, spoiler. But it's interesting watching him interact with people, because there's always this undercurrent of viciousness in everything he does, and that's totally Dan Stevens all the way. Like I was enamored with him all through this movie, and how could you not be? Really, I mean, good Lord.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was pretty easy on the eyes.
Yeah, and as somebody that I am a unabashed fan of Downton Abbey, I never want him to think about being Matthew Crawley ever again, because he can just play parts like this forever, especially if he's naked from the waist up. I'm fine with that.
Well, yeah, clearly leading Downton Abbey was the best thing he ever did, even though when it happened, everybody thought it was the dumbest thing he ever did, but no.
Yeah, he was definitely stifled by that role, I would say. I mean, he's great on it, but how much can you do with that era of British history versus what he obviously does with The Guest, which is be scary and violent and amazing and shirtless.
Sure, yeah, shirtless was good. I think that he did the southern drawl perfectly too.
He did. That is so hard for British people to do. Like I despised Cold Mountain, because it drove me insane listening to Nicole Kidman and Jude Law, who are Australian and British respectively, try to do Southern accents, because it was so terrible. And as a Brit, he pulled it off really well. I mean, way better than he probably has a right to. So that was highly impressive.
If I had never seen Downton Abbey and The Guest was the first time I saw him, if you told me Dan Stevens was from Texas, I would say, oh, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I loved Maika Monroe as well. I thought she did a great job in this movie. And she's currently in It Follows, which we were not able to, we were going to review this week, but it's so limited in its viewing abilities. We were both not able to see it. But I actually prefer her in The Guest to It Follows. I think she has more range in The Guest, and she's definitely more of a badass. I thought her role was really well developed in The Guest. I really enjoyed her.
Well, I think that's why I like Barrett and Wingard, because they tend to highlight women being tough bitches.
This is true.
I
Yeah.
mean, they might want to take their shirt off and show their boobs, but ultimately they respect women
Right.
and they always shine and are the stronger people.
Right. And it's like the actual final girl in their films is usually not the nude one.
No,
Because I'm trying to think back to A Horrible Way to Die, and I don't think Amy Steinmetz was nude in that either, was she?
no.
No. So yeah, it's never the actual final girl that's the naked one, and it's the same way in The Guest. There is a girl that is nude in it, but it is not Maika Monroe. So good on Simon and Adam for that.
Yeah,
Keeping the ladies clothed.
I enjoy everything they do. I think everything they do is with a little bit of a wink, but there's always an undercurrent of seriousness to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have noticed that the character that Dan Stevens plays, and he's from a military regime from KPG, and KPG is the company that the dad in the Your Next worked for. Am I making any sense? Everybody following me?
I totally did not catch that. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So now I want to watch it again because it's like, oh my god, I totally didn't notice that. That's insane.
Yeah. So because I am crazy, I went on the Twitter and I asked Mr. Barrett if they had, always had this planned, and he said that they did.
Oh.
But we probably won't see. We probably won't see more of it.
See, I don't. What's their next film is the remake of I Saw the Devil, right?
That's the last thing that I know we had heard, but I feel like that's not what's on IMDb right now.
You see, anybody can put anything on IMDb, though. I generally don't trust it.
Right.
It's like the Wikipedia of movies, which is also Wikipedia. So, I don't know. Yeah, anybody can put anything they want on IMDb. So I tend to pay attention to what the directors and the writers say. So that's interesting.
What did he say? Oh, okay. So I had asked if KPG was something they had planned on expanding upon, and he said it was a fictional entity to illustrate their opinions on the modern military-industrial complex. But they're probably done with that.
Interesting. That's heavy.
So, yeah, the last time I had any kind of interaction with him, he was talking about that they were doing the I Saw the Devil remake and said that, it was actually going to be retitled to, like, I Saw the Devil at a Barn Dance or something. He's a very funny man. He's actually very funny.
Yeah, I think I chatted with him a few times.
Everyone thinks about all that, so he made fun of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. See, now that there's a big to-do because apparently Jason Blum said all of their movies are connected now, I don't necessarily believe that feels accidental more than anything. This is the kind of connection that I like. When it's tangible and you see it and you can look back and easily connect it. And it makes me want to go back and rewatch the movies.
Jason Blum said what movies were connected?
The Sinister movies and Insidious and whatever the hell else they do, The Conjuring, I guess. I think a reviewer at South by Southwest just asked him if they were connected, and he kind of jumped on it and claimed he wanted to do an Avengers type universe with his movies. The only thing that I see connecting them are jump scares and dolls, but whatever.
Oh, well,
we're not here to complain about.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody will figure that out. The same people who can connect all the American Horror Story seasons.
Exactly, with top hats and hotels. Whatever floats your boat, people. You've got more time than I do for this sort of thing.
Yeah, so let's get back to The Guest.
Yeah, exactly.
It's action, it's thriller, it's kind of sci-fi, but I think the horror crowd, we jumped onto it because I think we've claimed Barrett and Wingard as ours.
Yeah, and it's definitely got, especially as you get towards the end, the horror elements are there, but for me it's an old school, very late 80s, early 90s style thriller, which I love. I love those kinds of movies. The only complaint I had is as much as I love the score, I am desperate for their next movie to be strictly classical music or something. I feel like the 80s synth thing is starting to get a little played out. So now it's time to do something totally out of the box and blow our minds with a new score. Because they've kind of made that their thing and I love it, but let's try something different now, guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that they actually started it, and now it's tired because everybody else stole it.
Yeah, I think that's why we talked about this, is I think You're Next and Maniac were released at the same time, and they both had that very cool 80s synth style. Mm-hmm. And it's great. It's perfect for the films because they are really throwback films, but now everybody's doing it, and it's Wingard and Barrett are so good at kind of doing something entirely different. So now I think this is the perfect time for them to create something new that everybody else can steal from. So, please. Plus, I saw The Devil's the perfect movie in which to do that with. So it kind of lends itself to something more theatrical and dramatic.
Yeah, I would hate to think that they would set that kind of story to synth.
Yeah, 80s synth, stabby music.
They might lose me on that one. I
mean, it could work, I guess, but I don't know that I'd want to see it, so.
I don't know. They do create magic. The two of them together, magic.
True. No arguments. When they found each other, it's like, because I watched some of Adam's movies before, and he needs Simon. He needs Simon. They work better together.
Yeah, they need each other.
Yes. So, The Guest, unequivocally, if it's not obvious by now, 2 knives up from both of us. And now we go on to Lisa.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about The Hunted. The Hunted is a found-footage supernatural thriller from Josh Stewart. You probably know Mr. Stewart as Arkin from The Collector and The Collection, but this time he wrote and directed the horror movie that he's starring in, and it's a really solid first time outing. Steady build up. And there's 2 things in this movie that are universally scary. The woods and strange noises. Right? Everybody's afraid of those 2 things. But The Hunted is it's a bare bones thriller, and it works for me because I am afraid of those 2 things, and I believe in ghosts. So I was totally on board, and I don't know, it really worked for me.
I hated it.
I have a feeling that we disagree, yeah.
I did. Part of the problem for me is that I am surrounded every day by redneck hunters in camo. That's part of the reason why I don't leave my house. So I live in the South, if people don't know that. So watching movies with redneck hunters in camo trying to shoot deer is not what I normally gravitate to. But for me, it was just so slow, and then you never see anything. And if you're going to kind of build a found footage film on the potential of seeing things, as much as I love listening to girls scream in the woods, after a while, I just got so frustrated, and I think I fell asleep twice.
I can see that. And I guess I'm glad that you said that, because I've been waiting for somebody to push back on that, because I like that I didn't see anything.
Right.
It's also about the Blair Witch Project. That's also what worked for me, is that you didn't see anything.
Right. And
the fear was made by myself. I made myself scared.
Right. And I didn't like the Blair Witch Project when it came out either. I was fairly young when that came out. That was one of my first in-theater horror movies, and I was like, what is everybody talking about? I don't get it! And I don't think I've ever warmed to the found footage genre as a result of not enjoying that first experience. And so for me to like a found footage film, it has to blow me out of the water, and this did not do it. And I will also say that until I watched The Collector and The Collection, which I did specifically for this purpose, I had no idea what your Josh Stewart thing was. I thought he looked high the whole time. I was like, what is this guy's deal? Is he sleepy? Like, why is he even on set if he's so tired all the time? Because he just looks sleepy. But then
James Springfield bedroom stoned eyes.
I don't like him either.
I know, we don't. That's why we're doing this.
We would never fight over men, except maybe like a couple. I think that's the one great thing about our friendship.
And he's
But
the only person we would fight over doesn't care about vaginas anyway, so it
this
doesn't
is
even matter.
true. This is true. But still, that is fun. But so I specifically watched The Collector and The Collection, and I get it now, especially after The Collection, which I did really enjoy. But I just, and the whole of The Hunted felt like a giant product placement film. And I don't know if the products in the movie are real. I didn't care to look into it that deeply because I do hate hunting. I am not somebody that is a fan of it in any way, shape, or form. But they kept constantly talking about the products that they were also shilling in the film, which was the basis for the movie. And that's all it felt like to me. It was like, this is getting really old. All these shots, whatever product this is. Like, I was so done by the time I got to the last half hour. I think that's when I started to nod off. I was like, whatever it is not going to live up to all of this anyway. And then when there was nothing, I was like, ugh, God. Damn it.
That again was a positive for me because the concept is that they're trying to sell a reality show of them hunting.
Right. And see, you're bigger on the whole reality thing than I am too. So
exactly. I love a reality show, not all of them, but yeah, I feel like I can critique a reality show, and they do have the product placement. And I also thought, this being his first feature, I thought it was actually really smart that that's how he got money, so it was a much more polished production.
So it is a real brand of hunting equipment?
Yeah, okay. That's all real stuff. Those are real stores you can go to and buy those real things there. And I know this because my in-laws are big hunters, so
yeah.
I have very mixed feelings about hunting, but it's something that people who take it seriously, I'm okay with that. And I felt like that's where these guys were coming from. Like, we can't, there's not even time to get into that conversation, but he's a hunter, and that initially would have put me off as well. And the only reason I wanted to watch this film is because A, I love Josh Stewart.
Right.
And B, he was really excited when he was talking about it at a convention last year. So I just wanted to see what he did. And so for me, it definitely felt like this is what happens when people go to shoot footage for a reality show.
Right.
This is exactly what I believe lives in all forests, wooded areas.
Fair.
And I'm really easy to scare. And I liked that they didn't show anything. If I had seen the ghost, I think I would have been totally out and hated it.
See, I think that there was no way that they could, especially a film like that on a budget. It's smart that they didn't, and I do admit that, because there's nothing they could have created by the time the movie completed that would have remotely satisfied what had built up to that point. And the screaming was disorienting. Like, the build up to it is that there is this very female screaming going on the whole time that they keep hearing at night. And that was the first time it happened. It did catch me off guard, and I jumped, and my dog jumped, and so it was effective. But at the same time, this is primarily why I don't watch found footage films. I think that I'm just admittedly not the audience for them. And when they are, the movies that I like are movies like Cloverfield, where it's like, ooh, big monster, yay! So there's something I can physically grab onto and see. And I also have to connect to the characters. And because I didn't know anything about Josh Stewart, and because I have no use for hunting, I was like, meh. There is nothing here for me.
Well, I think this is good, though. I'm glad that we totally are opposite on this, because all of your points are really valid, especially for anybody who doesn't like found footage.
Right.
And I can see, I could see all of those points and totally agree with them. To me, Josh Stewart, that was my cousin. I have a cousin he's very serious about hunting, and he gets scared easily, so he would have been the camera guy. You know what I mean? He would have been like, oh my gosh. And he would have flipped out. And what would he have done? I don't know. And it was just, I like when things build slowly, because then I feel like I can create more tension for myself.
Right. And see, I love a good slow burn movie, but again, it's kind of that thing where at the end of all that slow burn, I need something pow. And the pow wasn't there for me.
I get it. I liked it. Those things are scary to me, and I watched it twice in a row just to make sure that I wasn't just enjoying it the first time out of, bias.
Right.
No, it scared me both times. It works for me. But it is found footage. It is set up like a reality concept show. There is a lot of brand placement. And it's about hunters.
So as a result,
if you don't like those.
The Hunted gets one knife up from Lisa, but one knife down from me. So, found footage people, you will probably love this movie. I can admit that willingly. So our final movie today is the Soska Sisters, See No Evil 2. A group of friends partying in a morgue, as you do, become the latest victims to a seemingly, but of course not dead slasher, Jacob Goodnight. The tropes flow as plentifully as the blood, and genre icons perform far below their skill set in a sequel more mediocre than the film that inspired it. We are going to preface what is about to come with this. Please, Soska Sisters fanboys, do not yell at us on the internet. We are entitled to our opinion. Calm discourse, please. Lisa, you may begin.
Well, I didn't realize that people might yell at us.
Oh,
okay.
They may. They may.
Well, that's fine. Just be polite when you disagree.
Exactly.
Okay. See No Evil 2. I only watched because of the lovely ladies who delivered it to us. I was unable to finish the first film, See No Evil, because it was atrocious. And we all know that if I think something's atrocious, there might be something wrong with it. So, but the girls were in it. We got Danielle. We got Catherine. Let's see what's happening. Right? It's going to be amazing.
Right.
No, it's not, because the antagonist is still this guy with a lame religious backstory that and they're partying in the morgue, like you said, and I literally was never able to get outside of how stupid and disrespectful and immature that was.
Exactly.
And everything was just unbelievable. I didn't care about any of the characters. Like, they didn't die soon enough for me.
Right. The movie could, in my opinion, that movie could have been 20 minutes long. Like, Jacob could have just blown up the whole morgue, and I would have been like, all right, that's cool. This saved me a lot of time.
It was just not fun.
No. And I was so offended on my part for Catherine Isabel, because this is a movie she should have been making 10 years ago, not now. She is so much better than humping a dead body. And I don't know if it's out of allegiance to the Soskas or what, but I was cringing watching her in this film because she is just so much better than this movie, and she has advanced so far beyond these bit parts in these really crappy slasher movies, and it just hurt me on her behalf to see her in this film. Like, physical pain, like actual physical pain. So this is not just being catty. This is not whatever people tend to accuse female critics of. I physically pained for her because I've seen her in so much better. Why? Oh, it hurt.
Her character felt like a bit of a backstep for her in her career.
Ugh, which is awful.
It was kind of a funny scene, but it was not.
If it hadn't been her, I wouldn't have minded so much, but just awful. And
yeah, I think you're right. I think if it had been just random brunette number 3 doing it, I just would have thought it was funny.
Right. And there nobody to cling to. There's the guy that played Danielle Harris's brother was an absolute asshole. Like, no likable males. Even the guy that worked in the morgue was vaguely creepy. Like, it felt like his intentions through the whole film were only to protect Danielle Harris so he could pork her later, which is really unsettling. The whole weird thing with Jacob Goodnight and his Pamela Voorhees mother, it's so uninspired to begin with. And if this was the Soska's first meant to be their first big film after American Mary, it is a huge disappointment to me. Because they proved that they can do something amazing. And if they're going to start falling back on crap because they can, that's incredibly disappointing. And I have no problem admitting that. Super, super disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, it was a disappointment after American Mary. Maybe, I don't know. I guess I was excited to see how women were going to take on such a primarily male-dominated, theme, the slasher,
right.
the boobies, the everything. And part of me felt like it didn't work because they tried to make it smart.
I'm sure that people can prove me wrong about this. I don't even feel like they had anything to do with it that much. There were so many assistant directors on this film, like a crap load of assistant directors. It makes me question how much they were actually involved with this movie. Like how much say they had in it, because it's a WWE produced movie. A really seeing their aesthetic and seeing none of their aesthetic in this film. Like how much control did they actually have is what I want to know. And I'm sure I will never have answered for me. It's more of a rhetorical question.
Well, no, it was obvious that their aesthetic wasn't there.
Right.
Not even Dead Hooker in a Trunk was in there. It was, I don't know.
Generic. It was absolutely 100% generic. And it's getting harder to defend the WWE based on 2 movies they made that I didn't hate, because the movies I hate that they've made are now outweighing the movies that I've liked. So I'm running out of excuses to defend them.
I don't know that I ever had watched any of their films until No One Lives.
That I liked No One Lives, and I liked Dead Man Down a lot. That's actually one of my massive top 100 favorite movies. I would say Dead Man Down is in there. That was a fantastic film, but I think they just sponsored the U.S. release of it. I don't know that they actually had a hand in making it. So, but yeah, so after Leprechaun Origins and now this, it's just insanity. Like, what are you guys doing? You just trying to water down the already watered down slasher realm? And I feel bad saying all this because Chastity, or Slasher Honey at the Horror Honeys, really liked this movie. And
she does. She likes it very much. She wrote a whole thing about how she loves Jacob.
Yeah, and yeesh. I feel like I've seen slashers in really low budget movies that I found more endearing than him. He doesn't do anything really. I can't find any one character trait to hold on to that sets him apart in any way. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know.
No, I think that's the problem. I don't know how this character demanded a sequel, because there's really nothing to him. He's just big. He's big, and he's cranky because his mother was crazy religious. And I'm tired of people being crazy because they had a religious mother.
Yeah. I think I've only seen the first one on Sci-Fi. So I don't know that I've even seen the first one unedited. So who the hell knows what I've missed. But yeah, that has been a pretty major crutch lately for anything with a serial killer or a slasher. It's been the crazy religious background. I think it's a reflection of fears and whatnot in America at the moment. And even overseas, it's happening quite a bit. But it's also starting to get monotonous. It's just there's too much of it. And especially when it's this generic. And there's really... So... Like, I don't even remember being particularly impressed by what his mother's crazy religious thing was. Like, what did she do to him? I vaguely remember some torture, maybe? I
think, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. That's how invested I was in the movie.
It's only been a week since I watched it, too. That's the funny thing. I have only vague memories of the movie now.
Didn't she lock him up? I think, it was definitely something sexual. I thought that's why he doesn't like women who have sex, because, nobody likes those girls.
No. Damn sluts.
No.
Yeah, I feel like I remember something about her. Did she wash him inappropriately, or am I mixing? See, I feel like I mix everything up with an SVU episode. Damn you, Benson and Stabler. My whole subconscious is muddled with SVU episodes.
I think maybe we don't even know what we're talking about because that's how much we like the movie. About that. So for all the people who loved it, and I want to say that when people love it, they love it, and I say, get on with your bad self. But I was bored as all get out.
Yeah, and there was nothing, like, I can't pick out any one thing that made me think, okay, that was exceptional, like, good for that. Like, even the ending, I was like, really? I knew this was what was going to happen. I knew that they were just setting it up for another sequel that somebody else, I'm sure, will direct, and it'll be somebody even less established than Jen and Sylvia, and nobody will care about that one because the Soskas didn't direct it. So, sorry not sorry, Soska fanboys, but this movie sucks.
So I guess that's 2 knives down.
That is 2 epic knives down on See No Evil 2. So, thank you for Darklings for joining us for episode 2 of the Silver Screen Scarehouse. If you'd like to chat with us about any of the movies we reviewed today, you can find Lisa on Twitter.
I'm at LCFREMONT.
Or you can find me on Twitter at Linnie Loohoo, LINNIELOOWHO. If you have a movie you'd like us to queue up for the Scarehouse, drop us a comment below or let us know on Twitter. And until next week, stay stabby. Bye, guys.